from the Fraternal Order of Police. He's the national vice president, the one and only Joe Gamaldi. Joe, hey, it's good to see you again. Sit tight for just a second. We want to get your reaction to former President Trump saying just a few moments ago America was better off under his leadership. Watch this.
Under the Trump administration, you were better off. Your family was better off. Your neighbors were better off. Your communities were better off. And our country was far, far, far better off. That's for sure.
What do you say, Joe?
Kind of hard to argue with when we are seeing record numbers of people murdered in our country. 3 years in a row, we're over 20,000 homicides. We haven't seen those numbers since the mid-1990s. There's crime and disorder everywhere you look in our urban communities. There are stores closing en masse, creating food deserts and financial deserts for folks. So you know what? Maybe he's right that things were a little bit better off before we just allowed everything to descend into disorder and chaos like we see on a daily basis.
Joe, cops getting assaulted, cops getting killed. How does it stack up under this White House versus the Trump White House?
Well, we had 378 police officers shot last year, Liz. That is a record since we started tracking the data. A 60% increase. That is one police officer shot every 23 hours. There are record numbers of assaults on NYPD officers. So by every metric with which you would measure it, we are absolutely going to work with targets on our backs. And you know what? We ask very little from this current administration, and that is for President Biden to condemn the violence against law enforcement. It takes nothing more than just a simple statement from the leader of our country condemning these attacks, and he can't even do that because he's too busy taking vacations and eating ice cream.
You know, Joe, don't like to talk about personal stuff, but I've got a number of firemen in the family. We've had firemen in the family going back generations. So when a cop is assaulted or killed, often what happens too is the local firehouse gets hit too. It has to deal with an out of control situation. So that's, you know, we understand the sensitivity and how terrible it is what's going on with our nation's police officers. Again, this is after defund the police, what's going on with the nation's police officers, as you point out. But, you know, in this too, we've seen a growing body of evidence. Studies show that taxpayers foot the bill. They pay higher taxes for failed policies on things like crime, Joe. You see it in, you know, New York and Illinois and California. State and local property taxes go up. But, you know, what did you make of this fight between Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg? She's accusing Arizona Maricopa County DA Rachel Mitchell of grandstanding. Rachel Mitchell says she will not send back to New York a man accused of murder, and then he went on to stab people in Arizona. She says he is too weak on crime. What do you say?
Yeah, well, I say bravo to the Maricopa County DA for standing her ground and not allowing this monster to be extradited back to New York. I mean, is this any surprise? Under Alvin Bragg's leadership, or lack thereof, I would say, and his revolving door criminal justice policies, we've allowed literally felons with hundreds of arrests back out onto the streets. He's only prosecuting less than 60%. He's downgraded 60% of felonies. He's letting people out over and over again. I mean, Liz, just recently, he allowed 4 migrants who viciously beat NYPD officers on camera off with 0 bail. So, you know, I wouldn't trust this joke of a DA to try a jaywalking case, let alone a murder.
You know, this murderer, alleged murderer, Rod Al-Mansouri, he's being held without bail in Arizona. He's accused of stabbing 2 women there. He is accused of strangling and killing a woman here down in Soho, New York City. Let's watch Maricopa County DA Rachel Mitchell again. Watch this.
Having observed the treatment of violent criminals in the New York area by the Manhattan DA there, Alvin Bragg, I think it's safer to keep him here and keep him in custody so that he cannot be out doing this to individuals either in our state or county or anywhere in the United States.
I'm putting the victims first and making sure that he stays in custody.
Yeah, so that's what Rachel Mitchell says, the DA. You know, it's the decision whether he gets extradited, it's up to the Democrat governors of New York and Arizona. But, you know, when you hear Alvin Bragg citing NYPD, New York crime statistics versus Arizona, he's not taking into account that, you know, basically crime is still worse than it was here in New York City versus it's 2019. It's not a good data point that he's cherry picking the data to say, oh, we're doing a better job. When you look at before the pandemic, in early 2020, 2019, the numbers are bad in New York City. What do you think?
Yeah, of course. I mean, under his leadership, murders are up, robberies are up, rapes are up. We just had statistics that came up that crime in the subway is up 20%, robberies are up. Like, give me a break. We all know it's like he's trying to say, don't believe your lying eyes. There's crime and disorder everywhere you look in New York City. The public does not feel safe. So comparing it to, Maricopa County and saying somehow that they're more dangerous, it's a complete joke, and it's just a smokescreen from his failed policies that have ultimately led New York down a really bad path. And our only hope is that maybe they can get a DA like the Maricopa County one. Imagine if we had DAs like that across the country who put victims first, who actually wanted to throw dirtbags in jail.
Joe Gamaldi, thank you for your service to America. We appreciate you guys standing up. Okay, it's good to see you.
Thank you.